Bingo, 4 o'clock rock. Oh, we love doing this. This is our favorite show. And look at the crowd we have here. How about a shot of the crowd? Oh,
hey.
major. And
should
P.S.
see the people
that's
in the
not
room
everybody.
there.
We have more. This is like the biggest crowd we ever had on Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. To my left is Leslie Cole Brooks. She is the Executive Director of DERC, Distributed Energy Resources Council with a CIL. Welcome to the show, Leslie.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
Nice to have you always. Now we have, like 6 people we're going to bring in. Let me only say that Jason and John are here. We're going to switch them out. But before we do any of that, we're going to talk to Chelsea Harding because she's here from Hawaii Energy, and we have the Negawatt Moment every single Wednesday, and we can't fail to do that. So take a few, Chelsea, and tell us what you got on your mind today, this Wednesday, okay?
Great, thank you, Jay. So I'm here to talk about Hawaii Energy's collaboration with the NEED project. So Hawaii Energy is the ratepayer-funded energy efficiency conservation program for the state. So what we do is we provide incentives and cash rebates for offsetting installing energy equipment and helping people save money on their electric bill. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is some of the educational opportunities that we're providing for teachers. We're providing curriculum and training for them. Upcoming, we have a couple of workshops. We have one in February on Maui, and another one at the end of February in Hawaii Island, and then in Honolulu on April 12th. So we also, in addition to these trainings, what we offer are opportunities for teachers to host community events where their students can teach people about how to save energy in their home. There are a myriad of other things that we're doing right now, such as pilots to help students bring in energy efficient equipment into their home and teaching their parents how to install them. So what we would love is for everybody to tell a teacher to sign up for one of these workshops today.
It's like the drug ads you see on television, where the ad is telling the patient that he ought to tell his doctor to prescribe the drug for him. So you tell a student to tell the teacher that the teacher should sign up. All right? Good idea. That's the way to get them in, That's fabulous. All right, that's great. Who are you going to teach, Chelsea, or someone else?
I will be helping facilitate these sessions.
Okay. I had a revelation over the weekend. May I tell you about it?
Oh, yeah.
You guys all know this anyway. You have 2 things here, 2 distinct concepts. One is you generate electricity, okay? And you have power plants. Ooh. You have solar, you have geothermal, you have wind, who knows, ocean energy, all that stuff. And you got to put a lot of money into that and time, and you have to go to the PUC and get approval. You have to socialize it. There's so many steps to getting it done. Okay, that's on one side, okay? On the other side, there's energy efficiency, right? Doesn't cost anything.
Just do
You don't
it.
have to go, no approval is necessary. It's fabulous.
It's beautiful.
We cannot
It
underestimate the power of energy efficiency.
Yeah.
Do you agree with my revelation?
Absolutely.
I knew you'd say that.
Yep, we think that energy efficiency is the first step.
Tell
to
them
a
all.
sustainable
Tell all
future.
those teachers and students.
Right.
Okay. All right, we're going to switch out now. Thank you, Chelsea
Thank
Harding.
you.
I'm going to give the microphone to Jason.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Until we get serious about what's going on in this show about the DERC.
Thank you.
I sound like a government agency, DERC.
Well, it kind of does, and DERC is the word for
Thank you,
a
Chelsea.
Scottish short stabbing sword.
That's right, but spelled
we talked
differently.
about that before, but that wasn't our intention.
I hope
No,
not.
it just happened that way. So I think that's only once we've completely just come to the, really the end of something.
Give
But
us a minute.
We're a long
You
ways
said
from
this
that.
before, but
Yeah.
tell us what DERC is. Tell us what's
So
going
it's
on.
the Distributed Energy Resources Council. So we're a new nonprofit trade organization. We were formed just last year, November 2015. And we're formed because we saw the need here in Hawaii, that it's not about rooftop solar anymore. That's still there, it still has a role, but we're moving on to phase 2. So now we're looking at all distributed energy resources. So generating resources like rooftop solar, but also storage, demand response, smart grid, EVs when they get traction here in Hawaii, all of that, all of the distributed energy resources that are going to move us all forward. So they're grid connected, everybody that participates helps themselves and helps everybody else on the grid, and they're distributed. So it's just what we need to do. And so this organization formed in order to advocate for that and to help move the process forward.
And your constituents are? Members, I should say.
Well, yeah, the constituents are all the
Everybody.
all the
Everybody in the
everybody on the
constituency.
planet.
I'm a constituent,
Everything,
yeah.
plants, animals, all the people, everybody.
Even the little
You know,
frogs.
the frogs, the insects, you know, everything that cares about the planet and the environment and what we've done to it. But our members, and that's why today, because I promised, remember I said last time I was here, I said, you know, you don't want to listen to me the whole time. You should talk to the steering committee
Perfect,
members,
perfect.
because they're much more interesting, and they can talk about their business and what they do and what they bring to Hawaii. And so that's what today is about.
Okay.
And
So, okay, how many members, you're all across the board, which I really like, and I think this is a perfect time for the establishment of DERC, but, you know,
It is.
who's with you? How many people are involved? Is it you have various people from various sources of energy clean, mostly?
Yes, and that's one of our many strengths, that it's not just one thing. We don't just say, we've got to do this, and this is the only thing we've got to do. It's just, well, there's all these different solutions depending upon
So we're going to get a
what the
sampling
problem-
of these
You
people
are.
through the
It's going to
steering
be
committee.
like a
Potpourri.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you
I was
for
going to
that,
say,
yeah.
thank you. I don't know why I thought cafeteria. I must be hungry. Where you go by, you get to pick all your favorite things. So I brought in,
Smorgasbord.
yeah,
It's a
that's better.
smorgasbord.
That sounds classier.
You heard it here on Think Tank.
I know. So I love this group. So we've got 4 or 5 members, depending upon how everybody's schedules work out today. And what we've done is we're going to change them out with each break. And so it's going to be very exciting, and we'll get a little bit of a different picture of what's going on.
Yeah, no one's going to have a long time to explain.
No, okay, so I'm going to just
go quick.
just go
Let's
like
take
this.
5
like,
minutes
yeah.
and meet the 2 guys at
Okay,
your left.
so here what we have, here we have Enphase. Now everybody knows Enphase. You guys have 80% of all the microinverters, the residential, in Hawaii.
That's correct.
And you have been front and center with so many things, John. So John Berdner, for anyone that doesn't know John already, I would just say you were the grand poobah of all things, you know, but you're also the director of policy and strategy for Enphase.
That's correct.
And you're the one that has just really helped get things changed over, and you're cracking the whip and saying, come on, you need to be able to do this because we can, and the advanced inverter functionality and everything that you can do. So John is just absolutely key. And then Jason Simon, you're the director of policy for Enphase. And you come in, you talk about the money, I can see you thinking about it, and you've really helped to push the renewable development everywhere, I think. And so you're more kind of the quiet guy, and you sit and you think. I can tell you're thinking about really what we're doing. And together, they're just like...
Why don't you give each one of them a minute to speak to camera 2.
Okay.
And tell the audience, you know, who they are, what they do, what they stand for,
Sure.
and how they propose to solve
That's
all the problems.
that's
in
a
the
hard
work.
question.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute. It's
I
a lot to
know.
fit in, but
Okay.
I'm John Berdner, and as Leslie said, I work for Enphase Energy. I'm a director of regulatory and policy strategy, and there's 2 pieces there. Regulatory is like codes and standards, technical codes and standards. I'm an engineer, so I work on a lot of national codes and standards councils to develop new requirements. We also work very closely on the policy side, which is working with public utilities commissions and with utilities, figuring out what kind of policies are needed to encourage the use of renewable energy. My focus was primarily technical. I typically get involved to help solve technical problems. Jason works very closely with me, and he gets more involved on the policy side, which we can have the greatest technical solutions in the world, but if we don't have policies that support them, then they don't work. And conversely, we could have the greatest policies in the world, but if we don't have the technical solutions to support them, they don't work. So you really need both halves of that, and that's what we recognize at Enphase, that we have to have both pieces of that puzzle in order to solve these energy problems.
Thank you, John. Well done. Jason, your turn.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on the show. I do work closely with John. I am the Director of Policy Strategy at Enphase, and I work across the country in different states, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to propagate the utilization of renewable energy technologies, but utilize them from a portfolio approach. So as Leslie was saying earlier, consider solar plus storage plus demand response plus EV, and how it is that you could take all of these technologies, bring them together, and have them provide for customer choice, reasonable costs, and obviously grid reliability. So there's key markets. One of the key markets is Hawaii, naturally. That's why we're here, where we think there is a fundamental need, which is based on the urgency to obviously keep people interconnected to the grid, provide them with renewable technologies, and obviously maintain reliability. So that's largely the mantra that we obviously espouse across multiple states. Here in particular, we are particularly passionate about it because we do see that the need is real today, and we want to provide real solutions. And the reason we started DRC and really try to espouse the technology wisdom in this state is frankly because people don't understand that these technologies exist now. They think it's something in the future, and we want to come to the scene. We want to say that there's practical solutions today that are actually very cost effective.
Yeah, John, how much of that do you agree with?
Pretty much all of it, yeah.
I knew he'd say that.
That's good. Although we might discover something really interesting.
So, Leslie, you know, it's time for a break. We're going to have to take a break.
Already?
Yeah,
Oh my
sorry.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you deal with it?
I can,
Okay.
but I think that these guys got kind of shorted because I know they have a lot more, so maybe we'll
Yeah.
find a way to get them back.
Yeah, we will
Yeah.
absolutely find
Yeah.
a way to.
That'd be great.
All of you together, I want that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
That'd be wonderful.
We're just going for a minute, and we're going to switch them out. We're going to meet two more guys from the steering committee of the DERC, the Distributed Energy Resources Council. We'll be right back.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. My name is Anu Hito. My show is called Climate Change Beyond Outrage. In it, we go beyond outrage to discuss solutions to global problems on climate change facing people, nations, and the world. Join me here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on Think Tech Hawaii. Aloha and bye-bye.
Aloha! Hello, my name is Patrick Bratton. I'm host of Global Connections here at Think Tech Hawaii. We broadcast live every Thursday at 1 p.m. We bring Hawaii to the world and the world to Hawaii, talking about international events and various things of interest to the audience. Please join me. I look forward to talking with you and having you get to meet some of my guests. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Justina Spiritu, and I'm the co-host of Hawaii Farmers Series. This is my co-host, Matthew Johnson, and you can catch us every Thursday at 4 p.m. at thinktechhawaii.com. What do we talk about, Matt?
So on Hawaii Farmers Series, we're going to be bringing on the farmers and also supporter of farmers, including restaurants, caterers, as well as government supporters and nonprofits to hear their background stories and understanding our local ag community just a little bit better.
Yeah, essentially there's a lot more that goes into farming and the local food community beyond just producing the food. And we want to feature and get the background story on all these folks and see how we all work together as a community. So join us every Thursday. Aloha.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen, host of Likeable Science on Think Tech Hawaii. Come join us every Friday at 2 p.m. when I interview interesting scientists about what they do, why they do it, and why we should all care about it. It's a lot of fun to see. We hear, and you can learn interesting stuff. You'll hear all kinds of fascinating science, and we know you'll have a great time. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Aloha! How you doing? It's me, Angus McTech, asking you to come join us on Think Tech Hawaii Hibachi Talk. Join me and my two hosts, Gordo the Tech Czar and Enter the Security Guy, every Friday from 12:45 till 13:45. See you on Fridays, and remember, let your wing gang free wherever you be.
Okay, we're back. We're live. 4 o'clock rock. And you may notice that the two faces on the far end, left of, audience right of Leslie, okay, are changed. They're different. Isn't that amazing? High tech, all about tech.
Yeah.
Okay, and the guy on the far side is Ted Peck, who I know for about 50 years, and Tad Glautheir, who was on my panel at the EUCI Hawaii Power Conference 2 weeks ago, and was brilliant.
I'll try to live up to that.
I bet he's brilliant today too. I think it's
Yeah,
like
I hope it
thing with
sticks.
Great. Just set the bar really high. Perfect.
Yeah,
So,
really.
Leslie,
Yeah,
introduce them
yeah.
proper now.
Well, you just did. So I don't know what else to say other than this is the great example of what I was talking about, that the DER Council is populated by these brilliant people with these great businesses that are going to help solve our energy problems here in Hawaii. So Tad Glautheir, I bet you a lot of people really wonder how to say his name, and they probably are embarrassed and they don't want to say. So just know you can use different pronunciations and to not worry. He's not
Anyone
sensitive
you want.
about
It's
it.
on the record now.
Yeah, right.
Very good.
Right. So he's the vice president of operations in Hawaii for STEM, and STEM is this company is just so smart. They come in, they talk to a customer, they see what their energy needs are, and they do an analysis and they combine those analytics with smart storage. And they also can provide ancillary services to the electrical grid. And there's a lot of really interesting programs that are coming on board with the utility.
Yeah.
And Ted, I don't know what you can say about Ted. I mean,
Nobody knows
you're
what you
just
can say
involved
about
with
Ted.
everything. So.
Look, she's looking at me like.
Ted was the
what do I
energy
say?
Where do I
administrator
start?
during the Lingle years, and got this whole shebang off to a pretty good start at that time. He was a remarkable political official, public official.
Public,
Uh,
not political,
Yeah, he was
contrary
not
to many
political.
perceptions.
And if you didn't know this, I'll tell you, Ted was a nuclear submarine officer. He knows a lot about nuclear energy, and energy in general, I would say. So he brings a huge background
That
to
explains
us.
a lot, doesn't it?
The nuclear part?
Yeah.
I would say he's a
My
nuclear
daughter's
person.
turned out more than fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. And we wish that Ted had purchased the utility. And
That's not what this
but here we
conversation
are.
is
But
about.
it's not. So look what we have. I mean, we had Jason and John at Enphase, and Enphase is just done already so many great things for the state. They're on the steering committee, and Ted on the steering committee.
Very
I got the data.
esteemed steering committee.
finally kept asking for.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Put that
Thanks.
together.
Yeah.
So I guess it's time to ask them what they do these days, and how they feel about the Distributed Energy Resources Council, and where they see it all going. Who wants to go first? Raise your hand. All right, Ted, it's yours.
Okay, so, well, what I'm doing today, these days, my company we have a small crew that's doing basically broader energy development. We're doing just solar alone and solar with storage, and we're partnered with a company called NSYNC. NSYNC invested in Holu Energy is our company, and we're doing development of solar with storage or renewables with storage. And so what we're doing are service offerings such as peak shifting, energy smoothing, and grid services tied in with renewable generation behind the meter for commercial and industrial customers. That's our focus.
Yeah, that's actually similar to TAD in the sense that it's all about customer side, and it's all about smart grid, really smart, with technology that wasn't really, deployed, only a couple of years ago. This would be a dream. Now it's coming true, yeah.
Yeah, it's a brave new world, really. And so we do a lot of collaboration with STEM, and I think it is really the grid of the future. The days in them where you look at an energy bill and you say, well, you consumed 100,000 kilowatt hours last year, so we're going to make a system that over the course of a year generates 100,000 kilowatt hours. Those days are gone. Now it's what did you generate this 15-minute cycle, and where does that go? Does it go to your load? Does it go to storage? Does it go to the grid to help the grid? Being able to have the technology and the analysis capability to help not just think about how to do that, but how do you monetize it, and how do you provide comfort to investors that you can provide that level of service and that level of comfort to the utility, that no longer are renewables going to be an impediment to grid stability, but really an addition to grid stability.
Boy, it's good to have you in this discussion. Really wonderful. It's like the good old days. I'm so glad.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah. So So I have a big picture question for a minute. I got some stats. Somebody sent me some stats, and it seems like the end of NEM has had a fairly negative effect on PV business, and the numbers of new permits are going down, and it's going to have some effect. On the other hand, you guys really don't need NEM. I mean, the new world, really, in my perception, as you suggested.
Yeah, NEM acts like a 100%
net energy
efficient,
metering, if you
right,
didn't
net energy
know.
metering. It treats the grid like a 100% efficient, zero
Battery.
cost battery
Yeah.
that doesn't have any losses. And that's not reality. NEM was designed, it actually even wasn't designed. I did some reading recently. NEM kind of stumbled out of the gate in the 70s, and the utilities were like, yeah, sounds like a good idea. NEM does provide grid services. Distributed generation does provide grid services, and my beef with the end of NEM is kind of twofold. One is that we haven't quantified the value that distributed generation does bring to the grid. That hasn't been done. That should be done from a fairness standpoint. We haven't done that. We talk about the cost, but we don't talk about the benefit. And the second is this arbitrary 25 kW megawatt cap. But having said that, yeah, now we're in a mode where, before every electron was the same, but the reality now is that electrons have value based on when you provide it and how you provide it, where it comes from. And we are used to paying just a flat rate for electricity, but the reality is all that electricity has different costs associated with it. And so we're unbundling. And you talk about the decrease in the amount of solar, disruption is, change is disruptive.
It's growing
noisy.
pains, sure.
Yeah, it's growing pains.
All transformations are growing pains.
So I want to.
I think we'll get over this, and now we're probably in a better place to go forward to finally use this kind of sophisticated technology instead of that flat rate approach.
That's right.
That's right. Well, and what NEM is really doing is, it's an incentive for people to put solar systems out there. And so what we're trying to bring along in the wake of that going away are incentives for people to put any kind of energy resource on their side of the meter, at their customer location, and connect it to the grid and provide not just kilowatt hours, which is what sort of all solar could do, but other grid services. There's all sorts of things the grid needs. And as we take off those old fossil fuel generators, there's a lot of technical terms that we could throw out about what's going to be missing in order to keep the grid balanced. But you can get all those things from energy storage or from really smart inverters like Enphase has got, the energy storage from STEM, even some of the new technologies for demand response, or if people have heard of vehicle to grid. Those kinds of solutions can be part of the replacement. They may not be all of the replacement, but they can be a really important part of the replacement of what keeps the grid stable when you take those generators away.
Yeah, I'll ask you a question I asked you at the EUCI conference, and that is, how much of this is being connected or reflected at the utility level, on the other side. Is the utility doing the same thing? Is it getting data from you? Should it, shouldn't it do that? I mean, how is that evolving?
So the utilities got, they've got a mandate to keep supply and demand in balance. They've got a mandate to keep the grid balanced at all times. And so the easiest way to kind of replace some of those things that keep the grid balanced as they move fossil fuels off is to build large batteries. That's kind of the easiest solution for them, is just own it and build it right there at the substation. It's not as cost effective, though, as letting customers who are buying batteries anyway for various things. Residential folks might want a backup battery. Commercial folks might want a battery that does peak shaving, maybe has some backup capabilities too. There's all sorts of solutions out there, but let people invest in their batteries and then reward those folks for their batteries being available to the grid in times of emergency or in times when the grid needs support. There's all different kinds of programs we can design, and that HECO is starting to design around that. But we need to get it going, and we need the industry and the utility to be at the table in order to design those right. So that's what we're really trying to do.
They both need to be doing this. They both need to collect data. They both need to analyze that data and make, what did you call it, prediction analysis.
Predictive,
so that you can figure out what was
absolutely.
going to happen next.
They need to be able to count on these resources as well. And Ted mentioned this, that there's some skepticism about using those customer side resources, putting them side by side with a traditional fossil fuel generator. The grid operators have had a bad experience with customer side resources. They're not always there. They don't always react when you call on them, or you can't always tell how much is there. What we're really trying to do is, with the technologies available today, you can tell how much is there. You can sum up all these little batteries or all these inverters. You can bring that forward to a utility operator, and you can say, here's what's out there right now, and not just right now, but here's what's going to be out there an hour from now, 6 hours from now, with the power of predictive analytics married up with weather forecasting and all these different things. I mean, it's a big data problem, and it's a forward-looking problem, but it's one we can solve now.
Yeah, very exciting. So we're at a turning point, a tipping point, if you will. We
tipping
have
point.
the tipping
Yeah.
point, or whatever.
Absolutely.
Inflection point.
Fork in the road. Yeah.
I just
yeah.
like saying tipping point.
I think
Whatever
there's a
it
book
is,
about
it's
this.
It sounds precarious, doesn't it? Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
we have this
Yeah.
100% by 2045, and I'm myself, I'm a 2035 person. I can't wait. Sorry, I could never wait.
Okay, well, let's do that.
Let's work on
Yeah.
that. And so we have that. We have this new technology with the end of NEM, and of course, as discussed earlier, we have greater energy efficiency. All these things seem to be dovetailing, and we're in a new place, and all good. It's all good. Now we have to do it, and we cannot let anything stand in the way. So let me give you 1 minute each to talk to camera 2 over there. Ted, you go first, and tell them, what your message is to the public, to everybody, to the world, if you will, to the world of Hawaii anyway, and why you're involved with DERC.
Well, one of the things I used to say when I was at the state is that change hurts, transformation hurts all over. So we are still in a stage where things are significantly changing, and assumptions we made about the way that we operated, those aren't going to those are no longer valid. You've seen the media being disrupted and changed, and the way that we do business, the way that we live, that's changing as well. So the key is to be very thoughtful about how we change and where we're going and what we implement, and make sure that we are not skating to where the puck is, but skating to where the puck's going to be. That's our intent, is to go to
Predictive
where
analytics, there it is.
Right, that's right. To think about what are the changes we're going to see, and how do we design a system that's going to be future-proof, that's not going to be no longer relevant in 5 years, but something that lasts for the life of the equipment.
Okay, great. Ted, take a minute.
So I'd say for me, the opportunity here in Hawaii is a fantastic one, in order to really show what the business models and the technologies can do. We're at a point where it's not just innovation and technology that we need in order to go to the next level. It's partnership between industry and the utility, and we've got the right set of folks, the right set of ingredients here that we can say, okay, what does that grid of the future look like from a technical perspective and from a business model perspective? And I think it's a really exciting time to be working together across those two areas to create those models of the future.
Great. Ted, thank you.
Thanks for having us on the show.
Leslie,
Thanks for having us.
We got to take another break. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We'll take another break.
That's okay. That's fine. I can handle that.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
We're going to take
yeah.
another break, and these faces will change to 2 more of the
know,
members
yeah.
of
Great.
the steering committee. Thank you so
Thanks
much,
again.
gentlemen.
Thanks, Jay.
Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Kirsten Baumgart-Turner, and I'm the host of Sustainable Hawaii at thinktechhawaii.com. We air live on the internet and also on Oceanic Channel 16. I'd invite you to come for a fresh new show every Tuesday from 12 to 1 o'clock. I try to bring on guests that give us a different viewpoint on aspects of sustainability in Hawaii, as well as trying to unpack some of the difficult concepts of measuring and achieving sustainability, particularly with regard to sustainable economic growth and prosperity in Hawaii. Please join us every Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. Mahalo, aloha.
Aloha, my name is Carl Campania. I'm the host of Think Tech Hawaii's Education Movers, Shakers, and Reformers. You can see our show every Wednesday at noon at 12 p.m. on thinktechhawaii.com, as well as visiting YouTube and finding the link for the show there. The show is also aired on OC16. We look forward to seeing you on the show. We have many wonderful guests, including Joan Husted, Corey Rosenlee, where we talk about the very important issues of education for our keiki. We look forward to seeing you there. Mahalo.
Hi, I'm Stan the Energy Man, Stan Osterman, and I'm here to tell you about my show on Friday, every Friday, on my lunch hour, 12 o'clock till 1 o'clock here on Think Tech Hawaii. We talk about everything energy and anything you ever wanted to know about energy. So we're full of energy, and we'll see you here every Friday at noon to 1. Aloha.
Okay, we're
That's
back.
it.
We're live in the third segment of our program here. Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, our flagship program on energy every Wednesday. Some people call it Energy Wednesday. And Leslie Cole Brooks is next to me. She is the executive director of DERC, which is Distributed Energy Resources Council, a relatively new organization that has great promise and covers all across the board on the creation of clean energy.
And
Really terrific.
So much so that it's the DER Council of Hawaii, because we know that it's going to grow, and that just because of where Hawaii is right now, that in 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, the same issues with the grid are coming to the mainland. And so we think there's going to be a DER Council of, and fill in the state,
Okay.
elsewhere.
We're going to export our expertise.
Well,
That's what.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's going to happen.
Yeah, it is happening. This is a crucible.
It is.
Okay, and next to you, we have Aric
Saunders.
Saunders, who I want to assure everybody, no relationship to Bernie Sanders.
True.
If there were a relationship, you would tell us, right?
I would, absolutely. I would disclose.
You come from Vermont.
Nope, Hawaii.
And next to him is a fellow, you look so familiar.
See if you recognize it.
Yeah.
My twin brother, I think, used to sit here earlier, wasn't he?
Right.
Came back. We asked you to come back, and you came
And here I
back.
am, yep.
That's
Thanks.
Jason Simon from Enphase. Okay, so we're going to cover all of this. So why don't you make the formal introductions, okay, Leslie?
Okay, you did this last time, so I got to. So
I'm putting the burden
okay,
on you.
all right. So today, well, thank you for that. So, Aric, you represent today Tabuchi. You're actually here for two companies, but as part of the steering committee for the
Yes.
DER Council. But Tabuchi is the 5th largest inverter manufacturer in the world.
Yes.
And what I was really impressed with when I met with the representatives, you have a new inverter that's a hybrid inverter that really fits the grid environment that we have here in Hawaii, and that there were 1,000 plus of these systems already installed, placed in service in Japan,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So as we were saying, this isn't a unicorn. They really do exist, and they're being used elsewhere. We're trying to bring that here. So so I think that just
Yeah. So Tabuchi has been doing power electronics for 95 years or 90 years, and noticed that the U.S. market was going to be a big market for their hybrid inverter and battery that they were selling in Japan.
They have batteries too.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a hybrid inverter that the inverter and
It's a
the
hand
battery.
and glove thing.
It
If
is.
you make one, you should make the other.
It is. So it's a combined, basically an integrated system, and they've made it as easy as possible, simple plug and play, so customers don't have to make a whole bunch of decisions. And it's a very quick installation. I'm not an installer, but I've done it fairly quickly a couple times now. So the battery is lithium ion, and it's targeted for the residential home battery.
What about phosphate? Does it have phosphate? That Sony battery has
That's
phosphate.
the Sony is phosphate. So this one's lithium ion. It's a very established technology.
Doesn't get hot.
It's all about reliability for
Doesn't get
the
hot, doesn't
Japanese
burn
customers.
up, no fires, nothing like that.
No, there's multiple levels of thermal
And
management.
you can stack them.
As of now, not this version. The next phase coming out will be. So it's more of a entry product, and see how it performs in Hawaii.
Can you help us with, inverter? I wonder what happens if I ask, Alexa, what's an inverter?
The term inverter means an electrical converter that converts direct current into alternating current.
Couldn't have said it better.
She's right. Okay, but we need more than that. We need you to tell us why the inverter is critical to the system.
I'll actually defer this to.
Oh, thank you,
this
Aric.
is, Enphase is like.
So we've already introduced Jason Simon, but once again, Jason
please,
Simon,
once
he's
again.
the director of policy and regulatory strategy for Enphase, and is really has his finger on the pulse of what's happening really across the nation with the regulatory process for renewable energy.
So
Yes.
Alexis is, her definition is accurate, but it's somewhat primitive at this point. Inverters have moved
I hear
on.
that.
Oh, my.
I'm sorry, Alexis, but the functionality of inverters has actually improved, and it's been enhanced pretty significantly over the last several years. What we envision as a company and what we're actually seeing in Hawaii right now is that grid reliability issues as they exist in Hawaii today, they need to be accommodated with different types of solutions. Because there's so much solar in Hawaii, and because there's going to be so much more solar in Hawaii, the thought here is that we take an existing system or we take a new system and then we provide some enhanced functionality that allows that system to provide services to the grid to maintain system reliability.
And
So
this is one of the ways you deal with the problems that were of concern in the interconnect issue.
That's
right?
exactly it. So
we're ahead of that now. We've evolved out of that, what I called a crisis actually for a while, into something else because of this technology all around the inverter.
Sure. For example, we have worked closely in Hawaii with Hawaiian Electric, and through the ability of inverters to basically collect data, send it up to the cloud, we have a level of understanding of the grid that can only be provided by the inverters, which has actually helped Hawaiian Electric free up the interconnection queue to allow solar systems to obviously continue to be interconnected. So these types of services are new. However, they're not necessarily unique to Enphase. In fact, all inverters in the state of Hawaii will have to comply with this type of new functionality. And we really think that this is going to assist Hawaii bring the grid into the 21st century at a low cost to ratepayers, lower than what we believe the utility could probably do it for.
So, I mean, this is like what Ted Glautheir was talking about. I mean, the inverter is the smart box, right? It's got to be like a computer, like it's where the predictive analytics live. It's where the data gathering happens, right? Am I right about this?
Absolutely.
And they're getting smarter all the time. I mean, regardless of the base requirements, a company that comes up with the smartest possible inverter is going to be the one that I want to deal with, right?
Yeah, I think there's they're working very closely on setting standards across the industry, and I think we're trying to make sure all the inverters that are in Hawaii at least meet those standards to kind of provide a base that will, like Jason was saying, will advance more solar onto the grid.
Give us a short picture of how this is working on the mainland. Are we ahead of the mainland? Are we behind the mainland? Are we more open to this?
Sure.
Is there resistance here or there?
Well, it's interesting. So when we look at Hawaii, we think of Hawaii as the canary in the coal mine because Hawaii is dealing with grid reliability issues today. There's more of an immediacy to address increasing the functionality of the systems that are already on the grid and new systems that will be interconnected on the grid. In California, in New York, where they're having similar discussions, there's really no immediacy, but they are anticipating that there's going to be an increase in the amount of solar that's going to be interconnecting, and they want to be prepared for it. National standards bodies are developing standards to basically accommodate this type of move to more of a network type of grid Hawaii has taken the initiative to look at the standards that are being created and to modify the standards to suit their own needs, their own grid needs. And we, along with others, have worked in the state to basically revise what the interconnection requirements are for solar systems that interconnect into, obviously, the Hawaiian grid.
So to go to Leslie's point, you know, we can actually export. This is a laboratory where people on the mainland will look at us and learn from us. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Leslie right about that?
She is.
It's absolutely critical.
Well, I think
It
that's
keeps me up at night, actually.
well, that's actually what
Yeah.
happened with us and my company, High Grid, and we were brought in by Tabuchi to educate them on what's happening in the Hawaii market and how best to design their product to excel in the Hawaii market, knowing that the Hawaii market was going to be their first market from Japan in the U.S. It's going to be Hawaii, and then they were going to go the other way towards the mainland.
This is where they essentially perfect their product, or at least experiment with making it better and better.
Absolutely.
In the notion that if it can be used here, then people elsewhere, including other countries, you know, maybe even Japan, really,
Absolutely.
you know, we'll learn from that and we'll adopt the same software, the same ideas, and Hawaii will be the center.
Exactly.
We have to publicize that as much as possible. You know?
I think, and so with the Tabuchi group, it was interesting because we were talking about how much they were going to learn from here to take to California and the rest of the country. They were telling us actually what they're learning, they are going to take back to Japan and revise their product there and make their product better in Japan as well. So it's kind of going both ways. So they're importing their technology here, but they're exporting the knowledge back to Japan as
I'm
well.
impressed, and I'm impressed with your steering committee. I really am. And take a minute, Leslie, and wrap the show up. Tell us, you know, what we learned today, what we're going to learn in the future, what we should be watching for.
Okay, well, everybody knows that we're the most isolated island on the planet with the highest electric rates in the nation, and that we've come to this place where we need to move on to the next phase. And so what we learned today is that the DER Council is going to assist Hawaii in doing that, and that we have many solutions. We have a lot of really smart people that are coming here and that live here and that have local companies and companies coming from elsewhere that provide so much information and data and ideas about how we're going to move to the next phase. So you said the other day when you saw me that I looked really happy, and that's why. And
You seem happy today too.
I am. I'm
Nothing
still
has changed.
happy. Well, I had a few days, but then I'm happy again, so it's good. The world is watching, and Hawaii really is a laboratory, and we have reached this grid edge issue where we can't just keep doing what we were doing and expect that to continue to be part of the solution.
Yeah.
And we now have on top of it 100% RPS by 2045 or 35 if you get your way. And how are we going to do that? And so we're going to do that by being smart, efficient, working in a transparent manner with everyone, all the stakeholders, including the utility, and coming up with ways so that if you are going to invest in renewable energy, you're going to do it in a way that it benefits everybody. And in that way, the whole planet is
Good for you.
is helped. Is
Good
helped.
for DERC. Good for your
Thank
guests
you.
today,
Thanks.
steering committee.
Thanks.
You are a really essential part of the next chapter happening now. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for having us
Thank you.
back.
Thank you for
I
having us.
appreciate it. Great to see you. Okay.
Very nice.